Hi, Misha here, and recently, because we were kind of snowed in, did a table talk looking at the new Mini Beryl M1 Pistol. These are built entirely over in Poland by the real FB-Radom, not some other company, and imported by Arms of America and retailed by Atlantic Firearms. This is a 223 AK pistol. Very, very close to the Polish military's WZ-96C. But no select fire and no stock. It's chambered for 223, 5.56. Uses Beryl mags, which are essentially modifications of the Tanto mag, which are essentially AK-74 mags. Anyway, in the first video, we went over features, disassembled it, compared it to the Archer, the full-size Beryl we got from IO years ago. Well, this time, since we finally had a pretty day, a really nice weekend, we're going to take it to the range. And more than that, we're going to take two of these to the range. And more than that, you're not just going to get my opinion, but also Jay's. So, 2 Mini Beryls and 2 people at the range. Really, the only limiting factor is the fact that 223 ammunition is like $1 a round right now. But we can still give it a go. But first, let's back up and look at one of these in the box. How it kind of comes packaged, how you'll receive one if you do order it. Then we'll get to the range. Here is one of the new Mini Beryl pistols in the box. Of course, I've already opened the box just to... This is what comes in. Pretty basic cardboard packaging. When you get it, it will be inside this pretty heavy, thick plastic bag from Atlantic. These are already pre-opened. I would assume they were inspecting serials and just the guns. And I would also assume the bags are sealed over in Poland by FB-Radom. Beyond that, we have kind of this foamy insert. A couple of things of bubbles here on each end. One 30-round mag. And this is still sealed up in the bag. And then we have the pistol itself, again, like I said, resting in foam. And that's pretty much it. I don't believe there's a manual. I think a lot of foreign vendors kind of have the attitude of what good is a paper manual in 2021 with the internet. Let's pull it out. I did look under the foamy insert and yeah, no manual. So here it is. Pretty basic. Flipping it over. We have this very long piece of plastic running in one end and out the other. Not a fancy chamber flag, but it gets the job done to show you that not only is there nothing in the chamber, but there's no bore obstruction. Just pull the bolt back, pulls right out. As they come in, this is fixed. Instead of having a spring-loaded detent, this has an extra long, solid pin here, effectively making it a fixed muzzle device. But you can drive this out here, you see the pin here, and replace it with a standard pin and spring, detent and spring. Although I did find with mine, I had to clip a couple of coils off the spring to let it press in all the way. But your mileage may vary. So yeah, here is one of the Mini Beryls, brand spanking new, right out of the package. I do notice that these have some play in the lower handguard. It has a little leaf spring in there that presses down, so it's not going to wiggle. It's not loose. But you can press it up. The front is very secure, though, because of the pin. The front does not move, because this pin not only goes through the handguard, but it also goes through a channel in the barrel. And the upper is very tight as well. Something that a military wouldn't care about, but civilians might. And to be fair, most of the military guns don't use this basic handguard now. They use a rail system of some sort, or at least a foregrip. Otherwise, we have this top rail on with the folding rear sight. This is the aperture version. Flip it over. This one's not as tight. It's not loose, but it's not as tight as my original one there. So that's easy to push by hand. And again, I really like this spring-loaded takedown. It's a neat system. All right, let's get back over there. Very first shots out of the very first Mini Beryl by Jay.
So, a lot of people have complained about the rear trunnion on these, and I think it's interesting to note, maybe for the youngins out there, that for a long time AK pistols did not have any kind of consideration for stock or brace. So back in the day, back in my day, many years ago, probably 5 or 6 years ago, we had to use this thing called an SB-47 brace, which was the thing that slipped in under the grip here and then stuck to the back end. This was, the SB-47 was kind of the first thing that came along that was like that. And they were sold by Century, and they came, a lot of them came with the M92 PV, because again, those had no considerations for any kind of brace or stock.
And the same goes with the Dracos back then.
Dracos as well. Yep, I was just about to say that. So a lot of mini Dracos, Draco pistols, full-size Dracos, micro Dracos, all that stuff, none of them had any kind of considerations. So we're only a couple of years after that, and now we have the Mini Beryl that also has no consideration. And of course, you can see there's a gap here because there's no, there's this little bar here for the sling. So there's a whole cottage industry around making these guns work with a stock or a brace adapter. So I just wanted to call that out before I started shooting it, because you can see this old school M92 PV.
This is why you never throw things away, kids.
Right, yeah. SB-47, that's what it was called. So we're chambered up here. I'm going to take a few shots.
What ammo is this?
This is Wolf ammo. Louder than that 9mm.
Oh, yeah.
So we are clear. Bolt hold open on the hammer. Front handguard, it feels a little bit loose now. But other than that, everything is secure, just real oily.
Yeah, that front handguard, the pin runs through the front in the barrel, but what keeps it in the back is just a leaf spring.
Yeah.
But I think it's mostly because the military puts the quad rails on.
It's not too bad. I mean, it's just, it's...
Mine's loose, too.
Yeah.
A little bit up and down play.
Yeah, so I'm going to go zip this sling loop off and mount that a little more securely. Later on, I'll add something else on there.
Yeah. Well, not bad for first rounds.
No.
Now I'll try the Mini Beryl as a true pistol. I will say, thanks to the muzzle device and this ergonomic grip, as far as shooting as a true pistol, I've shot a lot worse.
Yep. The only difference between now and when you saw me shoot before is I used to Dremel and zipped that sling loop off. It took about maybe a minute to get through both. It took longer just to kind of polish the edges up a little bit so that fits a little bit closer. But then again, like I said, I'm going to do something a little different with it later. So I wanted to keep shooting this. Felt like this gun was a long time coming. I'm personally very grateful that it was able to make it in. And yeah, I'm going to check to see how the iron sights look on it too at very close range, since they're still usable even with the dog. Quite this close, which is I gotta try it once. And of course, I try it once on the last round, which is what I always do.
Well, you literally did try it once.
Yeah, true.
Very healthy ejection on that, too.
Yeah.
But I would end the shooting day with one more mag through the Mini Beryl. You know, for a pistol, it doesn't do that up flip. Very straight back.
A lot of muzzle blast too.
Yeah, I think it's redirecting the energy kind of out.
Yep.
So we're in from the range, and we fired both of our Mini Beryls.
Yep.
After such a long wait, which was no one's fault, guys. But yeah, we both were gonna get one. It's kind of a foregone conclusion.
Yeah. Yeah. This is probably the last gun that I've had. The P90 was up there, where I just felt like my collection was short a gun and was really waiting for and holding out for. Kind of for a while there was like, oh, it's probably never going to happen. And then they happened all of a sudden. So here we are. And this one, ordered it from Atlantic, and it shipped at the same time roughly as yours.
About 15 minutes apart.
Yep. And mine ended up in Memphis for about 20 days.
Yeah.
Shipped second day. So it just happened to ship right before all the snow and ice started coming down, and then got held up. So,
yeah, mine, they were supposed to both be there on a Monday. Mine came on a Wednesday or Thursday, and I was a little annoyed that it was that late. Yep. And then I wasn't annoyed when yours just
just disappeared.
Yeah, so apparently mine got the last truck out, and that was right when the snowstorms hit, and that everything between Texas and Arkansas and in Western, it was all just wiped out.
It was bad, yeah. So anyway, but yeah, it finally came. So it's something we've both been looking for.
And nice weather finally came.
And nice weather for once. We had one sunny day on a weekend. Yay. Somehow the planets aligned. So yeah, so what are your thoughts?
I mean, as far as the build quality, I'm going to send it back because there's one rivet here that has a slight dimpling. So that's unacceptable, right?
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah, I noticed that there's a little bit of, well, that might just be, no, it could be a little scratch on the finish up here, so I'm very disappointed about that.
Yeah, I had a little paint flow or metal chip here on the block. Yeah, that's just it, though. I'm being a little serious. These are military-type guns, for better or worse, meaning they will be durable. For example, you do have the 3-rivet rear trunnion, which should be solid as all get out. And the top cover fits very nicely.
Yep.
And you have the spring-loaded takedown. And you have a nice quality rail with flip iron sights that are very tight.
Yep.
Handguards have a little play, but that's okay.
Yeah. The lower handguard's got a little bit to it. I suspect that with the railed handguard, that might be a little bit better, be a little bit more secure, but again, it's very slight, and that's, again, a cosmetic issue. So
my top is very tight.
Yeah, same. This one doesn't move at all.
I think my front sights drifted over to the left just a smidgen. It's really close to being center, but I think it's just a little bit over to the left here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's from the factory sighting it in.
So I shot mine with the irons at our close test range at about 10 yards. And the iron sights, I checked the iron sights, which, of course, you can still use even with an optics mounted because of this barrel rail mount. And the windage was pretty much centered, dead on. So I suspect it's been actually properly sighted in from the factory, and it looks like it's real close.
Mm-hmm.
So no complaints there.
Yeah, I think my serial number is 18 and yours is 26. So
26?
And we were definitely not the first to order.
Nope.
I think Atlantic said they sold out. I know it was that day. I think it might have been close to within that hour.
It was within about an hour.
Yeah, it was quick, which tells us two things. A, there's demand, and B, they didn't have many.
Yep.
But another batch is purportedly coming in April.
April was the original date, yeah.
So the things people complain about, as we've figured out, the inside here of the barrel is actually correct. It doesn't need to be chopped down. Don't do it. All you need to do is replace your fixed pin with a spring-loaded pin. That's easy to do. Then you have a removable. So I get my hair with my finger. Oh, not quite. It's a little stiff. Oh well. Can't quite get it with my fingertip. But then it's just all screws. I did put a spring, grenade spring on the tip of mine because why not? And then people complained about this. What do you think about this rail? A lot of people were not pleased.
So personally, I love it. It's super unique. It is goofy looking. It is way too high, but it is unique to the Mini Beryl. And as a collector of Polish firearms, a lot of people are talking about how they would mill the rear sight block and all that stuff to do something else. But then to me, that becomes not a Mini Beryl anymore. So the closer it is to that configuration from the Polish military, then the happier I am with it, because I'm a Polish collector, and I think most people who wanted one of these didn't buy it because it is a 223 AK. They bought it because it's FB-Radom and it's a Mini Beryl, and we haven't been able to get one of those yet. So
yeah, and I think what some people were wanting was the type that was removable, you know, that bolts on and has a traditional rear sight. The problem there is you even have a shorter sight radius, and I have one of those bolt-on sights, and while they did the best they could, I wouldn't trust it to hold 0, and as high as this is, it's even higher.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's this high rail. I'm not sure if a lot of people don't have experience with the removable archer or barrel rail, the one that clamps, slides into the rear sight base on the full size gun.
I've got one in store. If I find one, guys, I'll tack it on to the end. I have it somewhere, but it's in a box because I never use it.
But it also sits up really high. So it's the same situation on that barrel rail for the rifle.
Oh yeah, the full. I'm talking about they make a short rail just like this for the Mini, but it's even taller.
I'm talking about the full length one.
Yeah, okay.
And it's the same thing. Like, it's made to be able to use the iron sights through the channel, even though you have an optic mounted to it. So that's just how these are. And I understand that functionally there are better options. So get one of those other better options. Like this is meant to appeal to the Polish or military firearms collector more than it is just meant to be, the go-to 223 AK.
And yeah, another thing Bill complained about was this rear trunnion, specifically this bar.
Yep. So mine I think is, here you go. It's laying right here. I zipped mine off with a Dremel and a metal cutting wheel, and I was in here for a minute maybe?
Maybe. I'll tell you this, he was in here less time than it probably would take to make an angry post on the internet about that thing. Yeah. It's just a piece of wire, essentially.
So it's pretty rough back here where I clipped it, and I didn't really care that much because this rear trunnion is eventually going to get replaced anyway, and I can always paint it over. But I'm going to do something else with the rear trunnion in the meantime. I will be drilling it and putting an adapter on it. But so if that bothers you, you can certainly remove it. You can probably do a much better, cleaner job than I did, or even like I did, just paint it, or swap the trunnion out.
Yep.
Is a possibility.
Because Atlantic has or had the actual correct Mini Beryl rear trunnions.
Yep.
Complete with third rivet.
Yep. So that's not really. That is an easy to remove option. I do. This isn't intended to be like a gatekeeping statement or anything. I do understand why people want. It's just one more step that you have to go through. And I was bummed out whenever I saw that it wasn't brace or stock ready to. I was like, oh, well, that sucks. So it's one more thing that I'll have to do. But it is not the end of the world. And again, like I mentioned before, we are somewhat privileged in that we have a lot of manufacturers now making AK pistols that are stock and brace ready. They weren't that way just a few years ago.
No.
So,
and keep in mind, these were approved some time ago.
Yeah.
This isn't something that was approved in 2020, so...
I would far rather have to worry about how I'm going to attach a brace than not get one.
Yeah.
That's the option.
And that's just it. If you're going to buy an AK, if you want to modify it, there's work involved. Sometimes just even putting on a handguard. I mean, even getting this pistol grip off took you a little time because AKs are not ARs. They're not just snap your... They make you work for it.
Yeah.
Either you like working or you don't. And that's kind of things. I will say, but everything else, the bolt throw is perfectly smooth. The finish is a little thick on these,
The finish
so
is really heavy.
it should wear in very nice. It's not bad already, but I think it'll wear in quite well.
Yeah.
But the trigger is, for being like a military grade trigger, I really like it.
I change most of the triggers out on my AKs. I won't change this one out. It feels good for an AK trigger.
Yeah, and I have this grip on my Archer, but I like this ergonomic grip, and it's lefty friendly too. But I like this grip. It actually made shooting this as a pistol a little bit easier, having a more full-sized grip with something for your hand to recoil back on.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, shooting this without a brace or a stock is not at all ideal, but some pistols are virtually uncontrollable. Yeah. This one, you can have some moderate control at close range.
Yeah.
But yeah, you want to put something on. I've always liked the extended mag release that comes on these. It's not too big that it gets in the way, but it's easy to hit. I also like the extended shelf. Yep. And this safety is plenty tight. It's not loose, but...
Well, it's easy. How I like to sweep my hand across that extended safety to drop it, and it's easy to do.
Yeah.
It locks in nice, but then it's easy to do quickly.
And it lines up well, and unlike those IOs, the rifles, they didn't cut it out. So it doesn't have that bolt hold open thing that was trash.
Everything just feels great on it.
Mags go in, no excess play. The nice thing here, let me take that back out. This isn't a cutout magwell. It's original. You can tell by the dimple up here, the side dimples. It is XY stamped. That doesn't functionally matter, but AK guys, myself included, just like it. Guys, this is a nice gun. It's not for everyone. It's probably not for most people.
Yep.
But this is being imported as kind of a boutique thing.
Yep.
But in a time of $2,000 Arsenals and $3,000 Segas, I'm sorry, $1,400 for an FB-Radom. Yeah, this is. I like Zastava. I really do. Hi, Misha from the slight future, interrupting Misha from the recent past, talking about Zastavas in there. I have to kind of cut this in between clip breaks because, well, my editing skills are virtually non-existent. Hey, don't blame me. Blame blindness. This is the full-length rail that Jay was talking about. This is actually the slightly earlier one. That is the Weaver style. Here is the Fox here. These are the front cuts that it slots into, and this is the rear stud. It's relatively heavy. It does sit pretty low, and you view through it to use your iron sights. This is what you typically find on your full-size Archer. But this is the one I was talking about. This is the short rail, and the one that people say they wish was on this. This, of course, is fixed as part of the base and has been an option from FB for a long time, including its backup iron sight here. This has no sights on it, and it doesn't lock on to the rear. Instead, it uses the front dovetail only. And because it doesn't have the rear lock, it uses a large set screw on each side. And to keep those from backing out, it has two smaller set screws they engage the two larger ones. So that's why I said I don't know how well long term it would hold 0. I would think you would probably want to Loctite at least one of the two sets of screws, but I could be wrong. But on top of that, if you think this sits high, check it out. Yeah, here is the short Mini Beryl removal rail on the Fox here. It goes further forward and sits higher up. If you want to use your iron sights, you use the ones under it. And on top of that, you'd have to worry about your screws coming loose. I'm not going to tighten these down, but I mean, if it's okay in the dovetail, but you definitely need your screws to keep it from coming off. So I think you can understand why they went with this style. And again, the 1913 rail style up here has been on FB's website, is an optional configuration for the Mini Beryl for a very long time. Whereas this style seems to be falling out of favor. And you can use the full length, but in that case you would need a rear trunnion back here. And actually, where is it? Got it to hand here. The Mini Beryl. I could be better organized and have this stuff to hand. But what file would that be? That I put it in my parts thing over here. There's a Maytech site. Oh, I don't know where I put it. Oh, as soon as I give up, and no, another Maytech. Never mind. I guess I shouldn't tempt my luck since I found the short side to show you. Anyway, my point was the Mini Beryl specific rear trunnion doesn't have this stud. And that's typically because a lot of them had the folding stock still, and I would imagine they didn't want to go with the full length rail just for a weight thing, kind of the purpose of the gun. So yeah, this is the one they're talking about. So yeah, this sits high. Here's my finger. I can't quite slide it underneath. Here's my finger here. I can get 2 underneath. Just to give some perspective. Alright, let's go back to me and Jay there from slightly in the past and wrap this video up.
Yeah.
This is superior to that, and it's certainly superior to like a Wasser in terms of fit and finish.
Yeah.
But it is 223, which has pros and cons.
Yeah, I'm not in any way, as someone who has waited for one of these for years, I'm not disappointed at all.
Yeah, the only disappointment is our stupid SBR laws.
Yep.
I mean, that would be the only thing that would make it better is if it could just come in normal, but that's not the manufacturer's fault.
No. But there are solutions, as I mentioned. There's a whole cottage industry to be grown up around putting stocks and brace adapters.
I thought you were going to say they grew up around pudding, like the food.
There is that as well. No, there is a cottage industry around it, so there are plenty of places and individuals that make parts to be able to adapt a non-stocked rear trunnion on an AK.
Oh, sure.
So U.S. Machine Gun is one.
CNC Warrior.
CNC Warrior is
that's what I'm
one.
Temporarily. That's what I'm putting on mine. He's doing a U.S. Machine Gun on his because it's just easy. Just drill a hole and bolt it on. Yeah. Long term, I'm going to SBR. I don't know what your plans are.
I did the same thing on my M92 PB. Mm-hmm. I drilled it for a side folding triangle stock after I put an barrel extension on it, and that worked well. It was the first time it's not the first time I'd ever drilled and tapped a rear receiver, but it's the second time I did, and I'd never done it on an AK before, and it went fine. So that's what I'm going to do on this one too.
Yep. And the nice thing is, if we screw up the thing back here, well, we have a replacement trunnion already available. We both went ahead and grabbed one, so it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. After I drill that out, I'll paint it just to kind of cover up the little little paint marks there, which some flat black high heat engine paint will match the rest of the gun fine, and then throw a buffer tube and a brace on it, and it'll be ready to go.
And we would have shown you if it happened, but we didn't run a ton of rounds to these today, but there was no problems, no failures.
Only putting 40 rounds through it.
Same, 40 or 50 here, yeah. Just, we had a lot to do in a short time. But
of Wolf, and I don't want to shoot it much until I get the actual proper brace on it, plus the ammo situation. But yeah,
same here.
It ran fine though.
40 rounds, also known as like $40.
Yeah.
So yeah, we put 80 rounds through these, but yeah, I mean $80. Excuse me, 80. Yeah, it's the situation we're in. I agree. I'm not gonna probably really let loose, but yeah, I don't think changing the rear here will hurt value. As much as collecting is neat, we shoot all of our guns. We still shoot our archers, even though they went crazy for a while price-wise.
Yep.
Life's too short, is my opinion anyway. Yeah. About that stuff.
I bought them to shoot them, not to.
Yeah, take care of them.
Yeah, sure.
But these guns are a lot of fun. Yeah. They're just very smooth. And it's light enough, but it also has some good weight to it, and it balances quite well. It's not front heavy or rear heavy.
It does balance pretty well, yeah.
Yeah, it's not, especially with the magazine sled. Well, a couple of things I would like to get. I want to get, especially after the SBR, the right kind of foregrip for it. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to get at least one or two of the short 20-round mags.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, they usually issue these with a couple of those just for compactness' sake and over in Poland. Yeah, this is definitely a true military gun. They first kind of field tested these in 97, 98, and so they have a legit track record. Afghanistan, Iraq. This isn't just a commercial gun, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No complaints here. I enjoy it. I'm glad we were able to get a couple, and I'm looking forward to shooting it more. I actually had only planned on shooting 20 rounds through it, and then starting to work on the rear trunnion. But I ended up shooting another 20 through it just because I enjoyed shooting it so much at close range. It's a lot of fun, and thankfully this Holosun AC of this HS503G ACSS, so it's an ACSS reticle Holosun red dot, seemed to already be pretty well zeroed in at close range. I was popping blade targets at close range with it, as well with the iron sights. Like I said, were pretty close. They were low at this distance, but windage was perfect, so I'm gonna try what I would expect if they sighted it in at the factory. So yeah, I ended up shooting more than I had planned on shooting it today before I make the cut on the rear tang. So yeah, pretty fun gun.
I really think this muzzle device is cool. You know,
it's different. Yeah.
It's different, but it reminds you of a Crink style,
yeah,
an AK but it's different. It's familiar but
it's
different.
Its own thing. Like with the top rail, it's its own thing.
Or the whole gun. I mean, this is, you know, it's based on the Onyx, which became the Mini Beryl, and you know, I know some people think, oh, what good's a 9.3-inch barrel in 223? Well, a lot of police and special forces seem to have found a good use for it. Is it all-purpose? Heck no.
Yeah.
But you know, their full-length rifle is an 18-inch barrel, so it's half the length of the rifle, and sometimes size, weight matter more than range, distance, what have you.
Yep.
And you know, this is a 1 in 9 twist, so you get at least one rotation out of your projectile, which is better than none.
Yeah.
So yeah, it worked well, and absolutely no real disappointments, and we're really hopeful that FB will be able to send over some other stuff and kind of continue a product line. If they do, it won't be in large numbers like the Wasser. It never will be. It'll be small numbers always, even smaller than Arsenal. So if you want one, sign up, get on a watch list, and buy it when it comes in, because again, these sold out in under an hour.
You mean I have to get on another watch list?
In for a penny, in for a pound. Alrighty, folks. Well, who else out there owns one of these? We'd like to hear, and who has the highest serial number? We can maybe kind of calculate how many might have come in. We know it's a small number, but maybe see the highest serial number out there. And if you've done, if you've shot yours, what did you think? And if you've modified yours, what'd you do with it? It'd be kind of fun to share what we're going to do with our Mini Beryls.
Yep.
Because we have over the years we had a lot of fun accessorizing our archers.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a surprising amount of parts available for these. RTG Parts has had a pretty steady supply of
Arms of America.
Arms of America as well.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yep.
Seems like you can get stuff for them, all right.
All right, yeah, I mean, it's not a one-off deal, Leo. Nope. By the way, I did crack this open while we were off camera, and there's no appreciable wear to, like, the bolt carrier tail or anything like that. I did do it. But again, very low round count, so it's not even really worth showing on camera until he hit at least, 400 or 500 rounds.
Yep.
But nothing apparent jumped out at me. Alrighty, guys, if you have any questions or comments, please do post them. And as always, if you could, like, share, and subscribe, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, if you want to help support us, check out the link to our Patreon. It's in the description below. And there's always one other thing that I always forget. Be sure to subscribe. Check out the link to the Patreon.
This is Misha.
Oh wait, no. Please be sure to like the video if you want to. But you said like, share, and subscribe. Yeah. So you hit all those.
It's automatic for me now.
Right.
I think
there's always three.
It's pre-recorded in my head.
Yeah, so you always have to do the three. I always do. Please make sure to like.
Nothing but professionalism around here.
Right. Yeah, we're professional YouTubers.
That's because we're in a different space today.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is throwing us off.
It is a little different.
Camera. We need to be in the kitchen.
Let's go get some pudding.
Yeah, there you go.
This is Misha.
This is Jay.
We'll catch you next time.
See y'all.